Light pollution is an issue that not many people know of. However, it has a drastic repercussion on our everyday lives and well-being. Light pollution is excessive, misdirected, or obtrusive artificial, usually outdoor, light. Too much light pollution has consequences. It washes out starlight in the night sky, interferes with astronomical research, disrupts ecosystems, has adverse health effects, and wastes energy. Over 3 weeks, we, Team Sailor Moon, developed a smart lighting system that allows anyone to put their part in helping defend against light pollution. Our lighting system uses an Arduino Mega to control walkway light units and changes their brightness depending on the time of day and the surrounding environment. It utilizes the 6 different sensors that it carries in the main unit to achieve accurate readings and interpretations of the environment. Apart from helping light pollution, our smart lighting system can also record information from its sensors to an SD card, allowing you to help scientists all around the world collect information about the sky. We hope that you make the best out of our smart lighting system. This was Team Sailor Moon. Our job is to help you help the world that we all live in.
Hi everyone, this is Team Sailor Moon. I'm Grace.
Juan.
And I'm Srijesh.
And today we're going to be talking a little more in depth about our project.
We're going to be starting off with code, talking about code managers, and then we're going to go into electrical managers, and then we're going to go into, well, singular, but structural manager. And we're just going to go into depth about kind of our journey on our way to the final project that we have now, and that we will display to all of you guys. Hello, my name is Juan, and I am the coding manager for our team. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the issues that we've encountered when it comes to code. And I feel like coding itself was not really an issue for our team, because I'm already really knowledgeable about the code that we have, about working with the Arduino code, C++. But I feel like the biggest issue was when it comes to actually giving the code to other people and being unsure of, is the code my issue, or is it that they built the electrical components wrong? And that kind of back and forth between, like, is it like checking the code and then checking the cables and then checking the code and then checking the cables, that was probably the biggest issue that we've had when it comes to code, because like I said, we were never too sure, is it the code or is it the wires? And without me being actually there to, writing code to check very specific parts, like, is this code running or is this code stopping the program from running, things like that, it's really hard to do online, and if anything, it's just really slow and really tedious. So that's what I feel like was the biggest time waster, I would say, just online work.
Yep, I completely agree with that statement. Oftentimes I have encountered the same issues when doing it. Like, screen sharing can only do so much, because you cannot screen share your electrical setup, and they cannot feel like if the pin is completely down or whether the actual cable is broken or something like that. And I think that's where it becomes very difficult to work together when you cannot have physical cooperation on something like electrical or something like that, and that could completely be the issue. Well, the code there's something wrong with it, so it's something that we encountered a lot.
Yeah, definitely. There's not much you can do with just pictures that you can send, especially with the kind of setups that we had. I know mine was really messy, honestly, and if I asked help from Juan and Srijesh, they couldn't really tell very well where the wires were going since it was so messy.
And I feel like in general, very specific code issues that we had was that very early on, well, probably a week around in the program, we realized that the code that we wanted to have would not fit into the Arduino Uno, the very basic build, like the very, not the simplest, but the kind of original Arduino build. And so we had to switch to using 2 Arduinos at first, and a bit afterwards I encountered an issue with coding where I didn't have 2 Arduinos, but the other 2 people did, so I couldn't like check whether it was an electrical issue or a coding issue, and I couldn't even test the code. And that's kind of like the extreme end where I can't even test anything. I just have to write the code and make sure it's perfect. And obviously that didn't go that well. We weren't sure what the issue was, so we switched to using one Arduino Mega. And I feel like that was kind of one of the biggest hiccups that we've had, where it was just like I had to write all the code and I couldn't test any of the code. And just having that kind of thing around where it's just really hard to test things, to troubleshoot in this environment that we currently are in.
Now, that's like the perfect segue over to the electrical side, which is the issues that we encountered on the electrical side, which is like there's an abundance of them, especially since we cannot be there to like troubleshoot each other's. It's like you have to do this by yourself. You can only show so much through your camera, and I think a lot of the times it was primarily, what are we gonna do with the Arduino? Like, are we gonna use a Mega? Are we gonna use like 2 Unos or something like that? And that often caused issues. Especially like one regarding the Mega would be like the SD card reader would not work, and the reason was because it has like special ports on 50, 51, and 52 that it needs 3 pins to go on. And we did not know that. We just kept it in the original locations, and we troubleshooted that for like a day, and it ended out to be an electrical issue, right? And that's the same thing with like many other things. It's just so complicated when you have like this big jumbled mess of wires, and you need to try and figure out some way to troubleshoot it. And it makes it even worse when like some parts on the fitting diagram aren't even there, and it just all like combined just creates like a whole new level of complexity to the project.
Yeah, definitely. It was just a lot of small things that ended up adding up and just creating like a huge issues that we just had to work through just throughout the night. And to say the least, we spent a lot of time on this project, both in the day, in the morning, and in the night, and sometimes both. But yeah.
Grace, you want to go on with the structural part?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess in terms of structural, I think early on knew that we wanted to do kind of like a crescent moon shape. We thought it'd be really cool. And I know Srijesh and I worked well together to develop it. Our prototypes ended up looking a little bit different. Obviously, I worked on the environmental model, which has less sensors and more focuses on just kind of modeling how it would look and how it would function, while Srijesh's is a full kind of prototype that we have with the full sensors and everything. But still, it was, there were a lot of complications that came up. I know for me that I decided to make the model so that all of the wires would run under the model itself, making sure that everything looked clean. But this made it to the point that I couldn't really go back and readjust wires if there was something wrong with it. So that really caused some problems for troubleshooting. I also know that lots of the wires were faulty, the space is crammed, it was hard to work with. And it looks kind of nasty for the first few weeks. So, yeah.
I worked on the 3D modeling of the actual thing, and we were set back like almost a full day because of some size issues. So so here we have like the first initial 3D print, right? And this is in Arduino Uno. It's like the same width of the Mega. It doesn't fit. It's slightly off, right? So first of all, that already caused an issue because you had to like slide it in like this, and from there everything just went south. These 2 holes were meant for ultrasonic, and if you can look on the other model, these are very different sized, and it's actually very difficult to 3D model. And I think structural wise, me and Grace went through a lot. Even Juan through fitting all of these electronics into one small area, and I think that kind of just adds on to the complexity that we already have with coding and the electrical especially like if you look at like our finished model, this is like 3 inches by 3 inches, which is like half an inch or almost even a full inch wider. It's still very cramped for all the wires, and it's just something that you cannot fully predict, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And it goes back to that same idea that a lot of these issues are kind of magnified by the fact that we're doing this all virtually. Like, we haven't seen each other, we haven't been able to be like actually looking at what we've been building, what we've been kind of doing. And I feel like all these small issues build up to create one big issue, and then that one big issue becomes an even bigger issue just because we can't fix it together. It's kind of it's hard to work together when we're also like separated just because
Isolated.
we can't see each other. Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of the main idea throughout all of the parts, that we're not able to work together that easily. We're not able to see each other. We're not able to really like truly work on a project together, and that's kind of what causes
Biggest
a lot of the
challenge, I
issues.
think.
Yeah.
It's our biggest like roadblock this entire time, but I think it's something that we have learned to face throughout like the week, like 3 weeks.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, although it might be difficult, we kind of figured out like where we might go wrong. How do we troubleshoot it, like and get it down faster? Half the time it's an electrical. Most of the time it's actually an electrical issue, and we just have to figure out a way to fix that. And I get it, just all magnified by Zoom and isolation.
But I guess the conclusion is that we all learned very new levels of just having to cooperate in many different ways. And while it was a really kind of rushed and sometimes stressful experience, it was really fun, and I hope you enjoyed watching our presentation today. And we'd like to thank Snap Circuits.
Alenko for giving the Snap Circuits kit, and they were given to all the participants in the group.
Anyway, thank you everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
And that's it from Team Sailor Landi.
Bye.